I know you're going to hear this eventually. I don't know whether you're going to hear it at the time that I'm recording this because we're 9 hours apart. When my evening is drawing in and the sun's going to start going down and the moon starts rising, for you the sun is going to start coming up and the moon is going down. Because we are each other's sun and moon. We are the northern and southern hemisphere to each other's world, and I don't know when you'll get this message, but I've just shown you who I am. I've put it all out there at great risk to myself, but I don't care, because this is my final push to get to you. Regardless of the obstacles that the enemies of our gods and ancestors are trying to put on my path. So, as you can see from my last post, I'm building a creative arts school where we're going to put on performances and plays and theatre productions and create movies and video games and all sorts, just like Fame, but more. Fame inspired me more than people will ever realise. And growing up in an Indigenous family, I'm from a very musical background. And as a writer, I wanted to do something with it. So I wrote musicals, I wrote video games, I wrote TV shows, I wrote movies, I wrote comic books, I wrote children's books, I wrote children's stories as schoolwork for all the kids that will come through the doors of the foundation that you and I are supposed to run together. You bringing your world into mine and me bringing my world into yours. And we merge and become one unit, one heart, one pairing, one connection. And I'm showing you my world. And what I've done is I've opened the doors. I've unlocked 3 doors for you so you can see what my sons and I have been building. I've talked about the Night of the Black Sun. And I'm starting to realise that what we were building, because my sons and I were working on the whole Epstein thing all those years ago, when I first became a target, when I was first put under the radar for everyone involved in the Epstein thing, everyone involved in this war with Iran, everyone targeting my king, the CIA, the FBI, the British government, the American government, the French government, the whoever government, I became a target because they realised that I was seeing things that hadn't been unveiled yet, that I knew what was going on, and they couldn't figure out why. And at the end of the day, them trying to stop me turned me into what I am now, because had they have left me alone, all I would have done was move to inner city New York to build a school just like Fame for inner city kids to keep them off the streets and out of prison, and nothing more. But in having to defend myself and fight for my Indigenous rights, and having to prove that my physics is a real bona fide physics, in order to defend my name and my ancestors' honour and protect my king, they forced me to have to unveil who I was and who I worked for. And I didn't understand it at the time. When my son and I started writing The Night of the Black Sun, It was originally just supposed to be a little 2D video game like Doom to put on our streaming service, to put on our server while we were building the school, like giving our customers something to do while we were building all the big stuff behind the scenes. And it snowballed into The Night of the Black Sun, which then became a musical, a theatre production, an outdoor musical production that is about a zombie apocalypse that was inspired by War of the Worlds, which was a musical I grew up on. And we wanted to raise awareness for human trafficking so that we could build safe houses. But in finding you, in zeroing in on Alaska and reconnecting with my ancestral roots, I realised that even like with The Soul Collector, writing The Night of the Black Sun was more than what I thought it was. And yes, of course, absolutely, we are going to be building safe houses for victims of human trafficking, but I have always said we're going to take in runaways, we're going to take in the kids that nobody wants, and I promised, and I'm starting to realise that there was, my dream from this morning. One of the victims of the Highway of Tears, who absolutely melted my heart, her name was Immaculate Basil, and she was an Indigenous girl who went missing, and her dream was to open up a foster home and take in foster kids in the system, Indigenous kids. And that's what I'm realising, this is what it's all been about. Building homes like my nana was forced into, like our ancestors were forced into when they were taken from their parents and even, we have to admit, taken from unhealthy situations in some cases, but where they were put into a system where they were allowed to vanish, turn up dead, or abused by the system, that leaves an indelible mark on them, that traumatises them forever. And I've come to realise that the whole raising awareness through The Night of the Black Sun is to build safe houses. Do you see what I mean? Safe houses that people like my nana could go to, where they're not going to be abused for being Indigenous, where their indigeneity will be praised and protected and respected and adored and revered, because we'll be bringing them into what it is I've been creating. And I didn't see it, but it was staring me in the face when the end goal was to get to Thunder Bay. And my son and I wrote that, not realising what it was going to do for Indigenous people, what it was going to do for Indigenous children, and how much it was going to heal people like my nana who fell victim to it. Which brings me to the night of the, not the Night of the Black Sun, the girl who saved 2 kings. I wrote that. It's an opera. I fell in love with opera. I fell in love with composing. I can't play music I used to, but I got embarrassed and lost the gift of playing piano and, keyboard and guitar. But my love of composing music is still there. And through various influences, as I've been flying past them in order to get to you, I picked up a love of composing, and so I created an opera in honour of my dad, who loved opera and classical music, and I called it The Girl Who Saved 2 Kings. It was originally based on a movie idea I had, but I turned it into an opera because it's a genre that we haven't covered, because my sons and I said if we were going to do this, we would set ourselves the challenge of creating, like every movie we create, everything we create has to be in a different genre. Because there has to be something for everyone, right? So now I'm sitting there, and it was based on Eleonora, the Italian princess, and Yasir, the Persian prince, defending their father's honours, defending the honour of, their kingdoms, because they'd been lied to by King Darius of Spain, who had spread lies about Eleanor's father to Yasir's father, so that they would go to war together and basically wipe each other out so that he could step in and take over it all. Well, in light of everything that's happened over the last few days, since my son pointed out where it is I'm actually supposed to be going, what I've realised is that The Girl Who Saved Two Kings is about clearing the name of my king, so that Indigenous people see the truth, that they were lied to about what happened to their ancestors in regards to the British royal family. Because they were blamed for those kids going missing. They were blamed for children going missing. And it wasn't them, it was the government. The Canadian and American governments, they pinned the blame on the royal family for everything that happened to Indigenous people. And now they're turning on the king because they're racist and they don't like the fact that he's Greek and African. He's dirty blood, even though he's a direct descendant of the King of David bloodline. He's related to Jesus Christ. And, we're preparing for the second coming. And they're trying to stop the second coming because they know that when I get put in position, whoever his parents are going to conceive him, and I really think that it's America that's going to be giving, there is a couple in America, possibly African American, somewhere around Pennsylvania way, if my codes from the past are correct, who are going to give birth to the second coming, because Jesus said he's not going to look like how you're expecting him to look. And everyone thinks he's got, that Palestinian sort of olivey white skin, blue eyes, blondish brown hair, very Palestinian. But he could be African American. And if they knew that, that's why one of the reasons why they're doing what they're doing. And it means that this bloodline will have a connection to King Charles. Because King Charles's mother, Queen Elizabeth II, is related to African queens. And they don't want black bloods ruling nations. And I've realised that The Girl Who Saved Two Kings is about Britain and the First Nations people. I'd made it Persian and Italian, but I'm fully prepared to make Yasir, to give him a First Nations name, to give him a chieftain's name. It means I'd be able to write in a whole scene where they came across the water on their wakas and stuff. Well, I don't know, you don't call them wakas, but you know what I mean. But the night of the black sun, it's only a little bit about raising awareness of human trafficking, and a lot more to do with the fact that our ancestors were taken from their families. Our ancestors were hunted down poisoned, we were given diseases, we were wiped out in plagues and stuff so that the colonials could rule over our graves. And so when my son and I and these kids stand on stage and perform this live radio broadcast musical that will be absolutely turned into a horror movie and a video game as well, it's going to be to raise awareness and raise money for these safe houses for Indigenous children. In memory of my nana, Elaine Isabel, and people like Immaculate Basil, who was a victim of the Highway of Tears. It's so, everything I've been writing with my boys is so much bigger than I realised. I was very, like, how do I put it, linear focused, because I thought, oh, I'm going to be doing this in Switzerland, oh, I'm going to be doing this in Russia, but the doors kept getting shut on me and I couldn't figure out why nothing was taking off. Like I was stuck in the mud, not allowed to move. And then my son just like wiped my eyes clean. And as soon as I saw where I was supposed to come into land, it's like everything started unsticking and I was allowed to take off. And I'm getting ready to land at your feet. And what you need to understand is that, you know, I'm building a performing arts school that's unlike anything anyone's ever seen before, because as a kid I watched Fame and thought, God, I'd love to go to that school. Well, I can't dance or play music or anything like that, but I'm a writer and I can give the kids material to perform in that school and then some. We're going to be 100% self-reliant. Other than the money I put into it and the investors that I allow to come into it, we're going to be 100% self-funded. We're going to produce everything ourselves. We're not going to rely on the government or anyone for anything. And if I do this right, then when we open the gates and say, hey, we're putting on this cabaret, hey, we're putting on this opera, hey, we're putting on this musical, hey, we're premiering this movie, come into our Halloween festivals, come to our Christmas festivals, blah, 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 giving them a reason to come in, the money that they pay will be what keeps us going. And then there is the Amber Rose. Our version, she's our first version of our Disney princess. Snow White was Disney's first Disney princess, I believe. Well, she's going to be Fire's first princess, Princess Amber, the Amber Rose. And that's I've written it, I've composed it, the music in that, when you listen to it, because I've unlocked them, I've put my musicals, taken them off private, so that you can see what it is I've been building, what you're going to be a part of. And I really, really hope that you're into it. I hope you're into singing and dancing and art and acting, and, you know, not that you have to be a singer and dancer and actor and that yourself, but that you're happy to be a part of it. That you'll sit in the chair beside me watching it be performed, you know, when you'll sit outside with the picnic basket watching the performances on stage, that you'll do it for the children, that you're in it for the children, just like me. And if you are a writer or a singer or a musician or whatever, and you've got things to add, then I'm opening the door and inviting you in to be a part of what it is I'm creating, because I know that it's what we've been destined to do for over 1,000 years. I know it's what our ancestors and our gods have been fighting for centuries, because the colonizers were hell-bent on keeping us apart. America, just like in My Girl Who Saved Two Kings, King Dario, America is responsible, is to blame for the divide between Indigenous people and the British colonies. The stuff they said about King George III, King George IV, to start the Revolutionary War and all that, it was all lies. And in The Girl Who Saved Two Kings, she provides evidence to say that wasn't my father, he wasn't here. Well, I'm thinking in what I've written is it's me defending the king, like King Charles. And saying to Prince Yasir, who I think is actually, I should give him an Indigenous chieftain's name, it wasn't him. So now I'm thinking I need to rewrite that so that maybe I could make her like, I don't know, because she was the princess and she's supposed to take over when the king dies, and she's trying to prove that she can fit in, kind of like Mulan style, which I can still do. But I'm thinking I need to rewrite it so that she's not related to the king at all, that she's maybe part of his kingdom. And she has evidence to prove that the king wasn't responsible for the death of the prince's father. Excuse me. So when I get to Alaska and I've got time to sit down and rewrite this, to sit down and finish this opera, I think I should give him a wipe out him being Persian and make him a chieftain, like an Indigenous chieftain. I hope there's First Nations people out there that can sing opera, that can do opera, because when we perform it, I want authentic. I'm not going to brown skin up any white opera singer. I want him to be like authentically of an Indigenous race, whether he's Siberian or Choctaw or whatever, Crow Nation or Navajo, or I don't care, as long as he can sing the parts. But the Amber Roses, I wrote that on my own, and I wrote that for my girl Amber, who I lost a year ago next month. Amber Marie. But I called her my Roja Blanca, my white rose. But there is a real rose called the Amber Rose. And I always said that if God blessed me with a miracle that I could get pregnant, I'd name her Rose Marie. But now I'm thinking maybe I want to call her Amber Rose Marie. I don't know if, when I looked at her, if I said her name, I'd cry every time. So at this point, it's Rose Marie, or Roisin Marie, which is Irish for rose. But that's going to be a Disney animated style movie, just like how they made the original Snow White. It's going to be all hand-drawn. And I had put everything on private because I had been told that AI was going around stealing people's music and ideas in that off YouTube to create as their own, which, as you know, they did that with me with the Dear Satan course. And I wanted to protect my musicals because they're everything to me. They're, The Night of the Black Sun, I wrote that with my sons. I wrote the tunes and the songs, But they helped me write the storyline. It's a personal project. Because they were the ones that were supporting me when I was working on the Epstein thing back in 2016, right up until now. But also, they're affected by what happened to their great grandmother too. So, my dream was a lot bigger than I realised. Yeah, the one from this morning, when she handed me the baby and said, "You know what to do." It's all been a lot bigger than I realised. I was so linear focused on getting to where I thought I needed to be, banging my head against a brick wall because the doors kept closing and closing and closing, and I was stuck. And then it's like my son came and just blew it all away and set me free, and then I was able to fly and see what it was I was creating. For real. And it brings our two worlds together. And it's for our ancestors and for Indigenous people. And irrespective of whether I get to build my foundations in other countries or not, I can absolutely build safe houses in other countries where Indigenous people are, where they're victims to the system, to the government. New Zealand, Australia, America, Canada. Hang on. And I'm doing it in honour of my nana and Immaculate Basil. Kids rescued from borders, absolutely runaways, Indigenous kids in the foster care system would be handed over to us. So I've unlocked my musicals, so you can look them up. The Night of the Black Sun. I don't know if you're a musician. I don't know if your family are musical. I don't know if you know people who are choreographers, who are singers, who are actors, who are musicians. But if you do know these people, then and they're good people and they're pure of heart, then they can help me bring it all to life, to put on the stage. Cosmic Whale style. Excuse me, from my dream, Cosmic Whale. So I'm drinking sparkling water. God, it gives you terrible gas. So the Amber Rose is personal and doesn't have too much of you in it, ish. Once I know your story, maybe. Doesn't have too much of you in it because I wrote it for my little girl Amber. She was 44 when she died. She gave up the will to live. And so that's personal, so there's not too much of your story in there, but The Girl Who Saved Two Kings and The Night of the Black Sun absolutely brings our two worlds together. It brings the northern and southern hemisphere together, white buffalo calf woman style. So I'm letting you see. I've unlocked the doors. I've handed you the keys, and I'm letting you see what my sons and I have created to save children like our ancestors, to save victims of child abuse and child neglect and government subjugation and all of that, safe houses. And we're going to be 100% self-reliant. And when I'm dead, if my children, my grandchildren, my mokopuna, if they decide that they don't want to do it anymore and it all gets torn down, or they're bad at business if I've raised them wrong, and everything has to get shut down, the land will be mine outright. I'm going to buy the land outright. It will be handed back to the local tribe, local reservation, which would be the Tlingit people. Like, they'll get their land back. So I've been through a lot this week. It's been quite overwhelming. I didn't realise what it was I was creating when I sat down and wrote an idea for a 2D video game with my sons. But that's how incredibly gifted my sons are. That's how powerful they are. Which is why I've been fighting to protect them and get them away from their father. Because he doesn't want them living that part of themselves. Because that part of them is me. And he's trying to wipe me out of their lives. Because I'm that powerful. And he knows that once the three of us are together, we take over the world of video games and entertainment and that, and he's going to be out of a job. So I'm letting you see what we've created. And there's still so much more that we've created that nobody else knows about. I'm just waiting for the opportunity to get them away from there so that we can hit the road together. And we were literally having burgers last Friday where I was writing down notes for their ideas and everything to put into the music box, our horror movie, the music box. So if you like what you see and you want to come on board, and you know people that are what I'm looking for, and they're doing it for the right reasons, that it's not just about making money, and it's certainly not about any of them becoming famous. It's about us coming together for the children, so that the children can make name for themselves. Because if the children are making name for themselves, they get to have royalties that they can live off for the rest of their lives. It's about us creating a universe where the children are the stars. And so, yeah, I've unlocked the 3 doors. I've given you the keys to 3 of the doors so you can have a look and see what I've created. And if you like what you see, then you know where I am. But I've only just realised, in watching that Fame, Irene Cara, and watching them dance and play the music and that thing, that's what I'm building. And then realising, hang on a minute, it's like the penny dropped. Our musical, The Night of the Black Sun and all that, is about so much more than I thought it was. And if we can do it Live Aid style, we can put up, when the kids are having breaks in between musicals and that, we can put up little couple of minute snippet documentaries about what our ancestors and that were put through, and why it's important that we ensure that the future generations have somewhere safe to grow up, where they're not going to be exposed to addictions, drugs, alcohol, gambling, that sort of thing. Because if what you and I create from all of this is so powerful that gods and ancestors have literally moved mountains and stars and comets and meteors, and that for us to collaborate, to be together. Can you imagine what's going to happen when these kids are given a place to come together themselves without fear, especially if they get involved in my space program, the North Star Cadets? What we're creating is, what we're meant to do together is bigger than the both of us. It's bigger than our ancestors. And it's going to help Americans settle into the new world under our tutelage, under our guidance, because we'll be watching over African American kids that come through our gates, white kids, trailer park kids, Jewish kids, Muslim kids, Asian kids, Aborigines, Siberians, Russians, French, German, British, kids from all over the world. And we're going to be responsible for them, you and I. We're going to be Mama Bear and Papa Bear. And I don't know what eagle means to you when I call you head of the eagle, but to me, it means the voice of God. To me, that's what eagle means, the head of the voice of God. The one who sees everything and isn't afraid to speak up. My protector, my warrior. The man who risked everything to bring our child into the world. And I've still got the scars. I'll show you my scars. So I've let you see what my sons and I have created, and that's only like a small percentage. When I meet you, we'll sit down together. I'll give you my phone number. We can talk on WhatsApp and that. And I'll sit down and I'll lay it all out for you from start to finish, what it is I've created in the privacy of, away from the internet, away from phones, just us, eye to eye. When I get my money from all of this, I would even pay for you to come over so that you could do a tour of the UK with you could meet my sister, who's the only person in my family who stood by my side when I was locked up, and her boys and my boys and that, and we could work it out together. And I'll show you everything. We've never met. I don't know what you look like. Well, not in real life. I know what you look like in my dreams now. I know we don't. I'm pretty sure you're watching me. I'm pretty sure you know who I am. I'm pretty sure that you're there with your little obsession about how, I'm reminding you who you are as well. And that's what I keep saying. Most Indigenous people suppressed that side of themselves for fear of being judged and victimised and abused. But I'm like, well, screw that. They've tried to kill me 4 times anyway, so what have I got left to lose? And in return, I became a supernatural powerhouse, and I've created things that only now, looking at it from a higher perspective, I've created written things that were bigger than what I was expecting, and clears King Charles's name and his mother's name. Because someone's got to do it, because nobody's doing it. They're all sitting there watching him being eaten alive by hyenas, by jackals, by tricksters, by the raven, by the coyote, whatever you want to call it. They're eating him alive, and nobody's doing a damn thing to stop it. and I can see it, and I'm like, friggin' hell, banging the drum. Come on, bloody do something. Jesus, he's the king. This isn't like 1329. This isn't 1603. It's 2026. How the hell are these people getting away with murdering the British royal family like this? And I'm a righteous woman. And when I see something, I say something. Eagle. I can't, I'm a crow, the crow court. I have to squawk because it's like it's a gross injustice, and nobody's doing anything. No one cares, and it's like this can't be allowed to happen. They did it to us. They can't do it to our king. It's an act of sin on a level that is unmatched in history, what they're doing to the British royal family. And it's taken an Indigenous person to stand up and muster all their mana to say, stop it. So that's the girl who saved two kings. But in this case, the first king that I called Yasir, the Persian king, is you. Because your people were royal too. You're from king and queen. You're from a royal lineage just like me. I'm from the queen. I'm from the queen indigene because it was my grandmother that was the princess. It was my granny Unikis and Ngawehinga and all of that who were the powerful females in my royal lineage at the time of, my birth and all of that. The women on my side of the Māori lineage, royal lineage, all the women were powerful. They were leaders too. We signed the Treaty of Waitangi, so I'm the royal female and you're the royal male. And we are two Indigenous bloodlines that are related from the past, but not directly enough that, that we wouldn't be being brought together if there was something taboo or tapu about our union. But it means that you're the king. You're the first. You're the other king. You would be Lucian and Lucian's dragon. You would be King Lucian and the Amber Rose. And Lucian just means bringer of light, bearer of light, the one who brings light. And Queen Brehennis Aithusa, or Queen Aithusa, Brehennis just means queen in Welsh. Aithusa, she's Queen Light of the Sun. So we both bring light, we're both light bearers. We carry the torches for our ancestors, and what we create from that, what we give birth to that as a result, is going to light up the world, light up the galaxy. And all I know is that when I get to Anchorage, you're there. I know that you're in Anchorage. I know that your Anchorage is where you are. It's where you live. So, but I don't know your name. I don't know what you look like. In real life, I know what you look like in my dreams. I know what you look like based on what my son said you look like, which is what you look like in my dreams. But whether you look like that in real life or not, I don't know. You could be as white as I am, but your Alaskan lineage runs just as deep as mine. I don't know. I'm not going to know until our paths cross. But I know you're there. So I'm showing you what it is you're going to be walking into. Because you need to be prepared. Because once our paths cross, everything takes off from there. And our feet won't touch the ground as soon as we land and get off that plane in Anchorage. Because we've got a lot to do. I've got to find the kids to put in the school. I've got to promote the school. I've got to find where to build it. All while, finishing these musicals, and I've got to start my IT company, my game studio. Like, I've got a lot to do. And you being from Anchorage is going to help because you're supposed to be my navigator. So, we're both navigators. Our ancestors were navigators, and we're the ones that are pointing the way and showing everyone in the new world, once the darkness is gone, how to step into the light of the new world, the light of creation, of the birth of the new world. So get ready for me, babes. And, see what I've created with my boys. I can't wait for you to meet my boys. So I'll speak to you later. I'm just blown away by the fact that everything I was creating I thought was one thing, and it turned out being something so much bigger, all because of my son pointing me in the right direction. Although I had looked at Alaska before but got a thumbs down, but it's a different story now. So until next time, ka kite anō. See you later.